Thank you guys for joining another episode of the Community REIT. I apologize for our technical difficulties. For our cameraman, we're going to have to get rid of his ass. But this is first round. Hey guys, if you know me, I like to have fun. I like to educate. Um, the Community REIT is a conceptualism of God, I believe, led by the Holy Spirit, uh, that He's given me to allow the Black community the ability to reconcile financially and also create an economy for us all. Okay, that is an option based on the ability uh, to understand the vehicle, and that vehicle is the community REIT, a real estate investment trust that will all have the opportunity to invest in. Right. Um, we're going to be talking over a labyrinth of things over the next millennia. Let's say that.
Yep.
We believe the community REIT perspective has to be implemented into the Black community, first of all, right? We believe that there are a lot of historical, uh, internal, and external blockades that keep us from moving forward mentally. I think we all understand money. I just think we put it in the wrong priority. That's my perspective. And I believe that the Black community doesn't see things for what they are. We've been taught to hope. We've been taught to collaborate. We've been taught to believe, not to act or to actuate on financial ideas that allow us to come together and have one perspective. And so what we're going to do is we're going to deconstruct avenues that we believe are in the mind and the community culture that needs to be removed. Okay, so um, I'd like to introduce you guys to my collaborator, Mr. Solomon Tay. Solomon, introduce yourself to the people today.
How's it going? Thanks for having me again, Mr. Reed. Always a pleasure to link up so we can talk. Not too much about myself. I am Mr. Reed's one of Mr. Reed's mentees. I got the opportunity to come across him on TikTok, and ever since then we've been collaborating to push forward the community REIT as something that our community, the Black community, can have something for ourselves. It's been a good journey so far. We've gotten so many people on board, and we're looking forward to bring our personal experiences and the things that we've done in our professional lives to bring it into something that we can build for ourselves. We have experiences in building things for other people, but we don't have the experience. We don't bring that experiences back home to build things for ourselves. So I have been fortunate enough that God has blessed me with so much experience in life that I can pull into this direction and put it into the community REIT so we can push forward to have something. Um, and if you don't mind, Mr. Reed, I'll go straight into it because when you were talking, I was just sitting here thinking, like, what are some of the things that what are some of the things that we find to be so difficult, or it's been so detrimental to our society that has kept us away from building things for ourselves? Anything for that
Okay.
matter. We could.
Okay. First, I'm going to say this. Uh, I want to first of all tell the community that is going to be watching this
Hmm.
that there are going to be a lot of things that we're going to do. We're going to have collaborators on with us from different backgrounds, from psychology to medicine to business to different aspects of development, which is what we do. We're going to have all types of people on. We're going to have people that are motivators in different communities. Uh, Again, for me, this is an opportunity to be me. Development and
Right.
construction is what I do and what I've always done. But I believe that people need more than just business understanding. Uh, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know about you, Simon, but it makes me angry to hear a Black person talk about education. And this is why I say that. We've been talking about that. so long. And every time there's an opportunity to move, let's educate. Let's educate. Okay. We are educated. How many of you
Yeah.
guys have passed by building and saw the building? And let's say you're a gentleman that works for a construction company and you're familiar with infrastructure, you're familiar with piping systems, you're familiar with design and development, you're familiar with all this stuff. But you'll never get the opportunity to be a part of a real development. You see this thing being done. As you're driving to the Galleria with your wife, you both are saying, man, I know how to do this, right? But she's looking at you like, okay, Negro, you'll never be able to get the opportunity to do it. Or
Right.
she's saying to herself, how do we get from there to there? And then here's what's worse. You and your wife go to these events with these companies and you meet these executives, you meet the project managers, you meet the CFO, you meet the president, and she's less than impressed. She's like, man, you know, they're no smarter than you, baby. I would have assumed they went to some big time school. They went to Sam Houston State, right? Which is a good school, but it's not Harvard, it's not Yale, it's not UT. So I have to ask myself again, what is the difference in mindset from this man and the gentleman that I'm speculating about that's riding down the street with his wife? And you would say it's a mindset, but mindset is partially what it is. It's also, obviously, historically, where we've stood, not only in America, but in the world, has disallowed us the opportunity to take advantage of an operation as simple as my friend owns the land, my friend works at the bank. We put together two legal perspectives: land, which has a value to it, and a speculative document, which is a design. And we take it to the bank and we say, once this asset, and that's what it is built, it'll produce this much money. Well, can you
Right.
show us that? Yes. And the guarantee on that is the land, right? That's an aspect of it. But then you ask yourself, okay, what is the part, Mr. Reed, that is the mentality? The mentality is something that has been constructed for us. Okay. One of the things I just spoke about that is missing is land and the obligator, which is the bank. When we internally have people that work at banks and other institutions, insurance or bond companies, right? Because these projects need bond as well, they don't have the authority on their face to approve what's needed to be approved for me. And so, therefore, I'm left with a lot of education, but no
Mhm.
opportunity because that relationship doesn't exist between myself, the bank, and landowner. Okay. Uh, and I'm going to be honest with you. Let me be honest with all black people. I've been really blessed in life to be connected to some very powerful non-black people that have allowed it or afforded me, is a better word, opportunities that like I just discussed. So I'm someone who can actually say what really happened. Let me explain something to you. Let's not say that Caucasian people are not capable, because they are. Let's not say that the indie people are not capable, because they are. And we don't damn sure are capable. Okay, we have accountants, we have engineers, we have construction managers, we have project managers, right? We even have some
Right.
people that own land. So what is the problem? I just diluted everything. What is the problem? The mentality. Just like we weren't given the opportunity for land and other physical assets, we were given a mentality, we were given an understanding, and we were given uh, what I identify as, what would you call cake to a kid, Solomon? We were getting something to subsidize, but when they get a piece of cake, sit down somewhere. Hey, let me tell y'all, and this is going to hurt a lot of people's feelings. Uh, I think that piece of cake was two things. I think it was entertainment and religion.
Yeah.
So if you ask me what mentally keeps us from moving forward financially and with one another, it's that cake. It's entertaining ourselves because we do that more and better than anybody. Okay, and we've created a culture of it. But what have we missed in that? Listen, entertainment even isn't even something that's an asset, but it's been taken from us, right? And monetized. How do you do that? And Solomon, we haven't concluded yet that hold on a second, we can do this on our own. Even if the only person that's figured it out for a little while is Tyler Perry. All I got to do is do these plays all over Atlanta, and I can make millions. You understand? So he monetized it himself. He used that asset, which wasn't a hard asset. It wasn't land. It wasn't gold. It wasn't minerals. It was music and entertainment. Okay? We believe psychologically that white people invented money. Okay? I don't want to add it. That's not a racist tone to it. It's just a reality. Mentally, we believe that white people invented money. In fact, they didn't invent money or currency. They're not the same thing, but currency has value. Money doesn't. But money is exchanged through what, Solomon? Friends. We want to look, when you're friends with somebody, and this is what I found out. In the white community, they don't care if you're different colors. They care if y'all friends. Do you believe that, Solomon?
Yep.
That's all it's about. They don't care
That's all
if
it is.
a guy likes you. That's all he needs.
Yep.
And you got to understand what like means. You don't know it, but you've gone through so many tests before you become his friend. You don't even know you're going through it. But he got a checklist. He's marking off. And once you friend with that guy, there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do wrong. Y'all will be friends until whatever. We have to be, and he has. You look around it. That's why you have to understand at the highest level, all those guys are friends. So when you guys hear these amazing stories where somebody suddenly became a billionaire, that's an absolute lie. It's an absolute lie. He's either been in a family friend, or connected to somebody. Solomon, did you know that the Oppenheimers own the largest ranch in Africa? Did you know that?
I didn't
You
know.
know
I
the
don't even know
Oppenheimers?
who that family. I don't even know who
Really?
that
Okay.
family is.
I'll believe you one day who the Oppenheimer family is, but the Oppenheimers own the largest ranch. So here's the thing. Oppenheimers worked with Einstein to build the nuclear bomb. Okay? Connected. So go back and look at the movie Oppenheimer. That was one of their family members. They're a big, rich family. Now, you and I both know all wealthy people do is connect themselves to stuff. They do not do anything,
hmm
i.e. Bill Gates. Let me go back to the point. We don't have the mentality of friendship that our Caucasian counterparts do. And our being a friend to a white guy is essentially being a family member. It's essentially being a family member. Y'all are family. I can literally tell you guys stories after stories after stories. But here's the thing. Look. That is a situation that exists. That's an example. But the mentality we have to overcome is the foundation of it is religion. Okay. Now you have something to add to that, Solomon. Go ahead. But that's
I,
my opinion.
I got so much to add to that. I remember you
Please.
talked about the cake, and I'm sitting here thinking, you had excuse me, you had entertainment and religion on there. I want to go as far as adding education on there, because when we look at the educational aspect.
You can hear. Talk up a little bit, Solomon. I can barely hear you.
Oh, am I coming through better now?
Yeah, that's better. That's better right there.
Yep. So I want to add education on there because when we look at the educational aspect of the educational system, the black person in the United States or in the world is the smartest person. We
Yes.
know it all. We have the doctors. We have all these different people at all these different educational institutions. The thing is, we fall into the theory. We don't fall into the actuality of how life works. Excuse me. And what I
Say
mean by
that
that
again.
is,
I'm moving
we
around too, because I think moving around is best again. Good.
yep, we follow too much what the theory of education is, but we don't follow the actuality, the reality of how life works.
We
So
follow
we
the theory and not the actuation.
not the actuation, correct.
Got it.
So we have all this education, we have all the degrees, we have all the certifications, we have all the accolades when it comes to education. But how have we pulled that information and actually applied it?
That's
You
right.
know, we we look for the next opportunity. Like, okay, cool. Let me get my master's degree. Let me get my PhD, so I can get a $10,000 raise at my work at a job. Or you
Exactly.
can switch. You can go into a different position. You can be a supervisor. But when it comes to actual life, how are we incorporating these things in our lives so we can grow? We have
So
this this
our education in producing anything.
anything, yeah. So the more if we look at I'm going to use this word again. I'm going to use this word for the first time since we started. The educated Negro. Our
Okay.
point is to make it so much to the top by ourselves for ourselves. We
Yep.
don't think about, okay, cool. Let me gather all this information, but also I need to pass it on to other people. I need to look for people that are similar, people that look like me, that are in similar grounds, so we can connect and have a solid foundation. You know, we think it's a race where you need to hurry up and get as high as you can in somebody else's institution, and then you can come back and hang around, your peers, and you can lift your shoulders up and go, yeah, I make six figures, so I do this, I do that. But outside of that, what contributions are we making to our society?
Yes.
You know, we go take the education, we go take the religion and all that, and we blind ourselves, and then we just sit around and complain and say all these things about our community, but we're doing absolutely nothing to make sure that our community is progressing. You know,
That is a great perspective, Solomon. I'll tell you a story, and you've already heard this. One of my mentors in the Fluor organization, when I was Fluor's top uh, mentee, uh, he asked me a question one day, and if it wouldn't have been him, I probably wouldn't have answered the question. But he asked me, he said, "Why don't black people work together?" And I gave him, I guess, a surprising response, but nonetheless an honest response, I believe. I said, if you take a drug dealer, okay, you take an engineer, one guy graduated from engineering school, one guy's a big time drug dealer, right? And obviously, this isn't a real example, this is just me talking. But the drug dealer in the black community thinks he's smarter than the engineer. The engineer thinks he's smarter than the drug dealer. So he thinks he's smarter because he's actually making money, even though it's illegal, right? And the engineers think he's smarter than him because he's educated. So they'll, in no world will they ever collaborate because they need to be better than one another. And your scenario, what you said, Solomon, I think is amazing. Essentially, you're saying the educated guy is a stepping stone and he doesn't even realize it. He's a stepping stone for somebody else. He's a stepping stone for another brother with a finance degree that's connected to the bank or is
correct.
actually a banker. And it's this easy. The banker follows the engineer's career, and the engineer moves up, as you stated. And he one day he introduces his partner to the bank manager, and then the bank manager said they go to lunch. They get to know each other. Now, I'm giving you guys, based on what Solomon just told me, a bit more of the evolution of relationship. A lot of the things that you guys think are simply prejudice aren't prejudice. Because I'm gonna tell you something. One thing I recognize about other cultures is they're always open to make money. Okay, so what happens is you never build a relationship within a financial institution strong enough that they get to know who you are. Some of you really think it does. I hear, Solomon, how many times have you heard these brothers and even other people come on YouTube? Hey, you can borrow $550,000. All you got to do is walk in the bank with $2 and hold your shirt up. That's not going to work.
Yep.
I'm like, bro,
Yep.
that don't work. Those people don't know you, right? I was fortunate enough. Again, I'm going to talk about fortunate. Thank God, through a lot of stress, I was fortunate to know the bank owners, but I still had to prove myself in the world. Okay? The problem with us is that when we get positioned, we don't even look at each
Yep.
other. As you stated, we compete, not realizing we will never have anything. And our daughters grow up thinking we're rich. But you ever notice, though, you dated those girls, Solomon, just like I did. They think they rich because they dad an engineer or whatever. And then when he retired, they find out he ain't rich. Very quick.
Yep. Or
So,
better yet,
no, go ahead.
sorry to cut you off there. I was looking to add a little to that. Or
No,
we
go ahead.
start to get to those positions. Yep. Or we start to get to those positions where our engineer dad is, and we realize, oh, there's no money here,
That's
you know.
exactly right.
But from the bottom, we look up and we go, yeah, being an engineer or being X, Y, and Z, there's money in there. But we don't. We fail to
That's why I'm glad
understand.
that you graduated. Yeah. Well, I'm not glad that you graduated. Let me say this, and we'll go to the next question after this. Um, the mentality. How does religion involve itself? Okay, some of us can determine whether I am a very God-centered man, but there are aspects that I look when I look out through my peepers, my optical lenses, that I don't see a reality of other cultures existing in the form of religion that we move in. Okay, uh, and there are men and women that are arguing so vehemently um, that there are no differentiators. So if there are no differentiators based on our community that is strongly steeped in religion, then there's a flaw in us. That's the only other logical understanding that I can come to. And I know for Juan Reed, I had the ability without the benefit of a great education, uh, because I didn't finish, to compete with some of the top people, and I came out number one. And I know other brothers who came out number one, right? So it can't be intelligence. It can't be work ethic because it's hard to beat me. So it has to be something else. Either we're not reading the same book or somebody reading that book and doing it, not doing it, or doing something else.
Correct. Yep.
So uh, I'll be glad that, look, Simon and I are taking conversations. So just email us when you have an opportunity. If somebody wants to come on that's comprehensive and intelligent and has some clear understanding, because I'd love to know why Black people aren't financially as stable or strong or affluent as other communities. Okay. And I think, and one of the reasons we're talking about, because I think it stems from the mentality. We were tonight supposed to have a psychologist on. Look, we're really going to speak to this thing, and we're going to be talking about it for a while. We're going to
Yep.
speak to if anybody truly wants to understand the conceptualism and makeup of the Black community and why they're not financially monolithic, monolithically strong economically, then we're going to figure it out because that's our goal. Our goal also is to coalesce the people in the community REIT, but first we have to help the people. If anything Solomon believes from me, he knows the way that I mentor. I mentor by allowing you to tear yourself apart and put you back together. Okay? Is that right?
Correct. Now, I can attest to that.
That's how I do it.
I can
So
attest to that.
let's move to the next question, Sol. I think we did the second one, right?
Yeah, we did the second one. Um, but while we're at it, I want to talk back to you mentioned the piece of cake. I want to try to bring in religion
Stay
because
on
you've
there,
mentioned that a couple
brother.
of
Stay
times.
on there. Go ahead.
You know, I want to bring back religion because you've covered so much about it. I want to how is religion keeping us back as a people, as Black people, our community, from your point of view? Um, mm,
Um, I think you. I think. Look, I don't like to say this because there are a lot of very intelligent people out there that are comprehensive, intelligent people. But I believe it's as simple as the devil is not going to give you a book to make you better. You know, and all of us have heard that. I'm sure you've heard that somewhere, Tom. They're never going to get anything to help you, but we think, and we spend a lot of time on this hour trying to figure for ourselves in a book that we were given. And we keep trying to go back farther. We keep trying to do this. We keep trying to do that. And for myself, I've given up on that. My relationship with God is good for me. Okay. But I think we continue to try to dissect a religion that was meant to manipulate us. Okay. We think other communities believe it, but they never believe it monolithically. You notice that?
correct.
Um, like, let me give you an example. They say that half the world, or almost 45% of the world right now, is Muslim, right? And they think the Muslims are going to overcome Christianity. When things like that happen, why does a fight break out? And you have to ask yourself the question: okay, if this is really about Jesus Christ and all this other stuff you believe, then how can they do everything contradictory to who he is? Okay. Now, this isn't a religious show. Okay. So I'm not going to go all into your religion. I'm going to go quote one scripture. I'm not going to do any of that. What I am going to do is say this. Uh, the United States isn't concerned one iota about Christ. Not one. Okay. And the reason I say that is because part of making money has to do with government.
Correct.
As a REIT, we're going to have to deal with the government. Okay. Uh, but there is a structure in place that I believe, to answer your question more simply, and in a shorter period, Solomon, that I don't think Black people understand. You heard me talk many times about Art of War. And I know a lot of people that have read Art of War, but for some reason, when I tell them certain things, they're like, I didn't even see that. And can I explain to you why, Solomon? They didn't see
Yeah,
it
go
because
ahead.
they only saw what they were told to see. They only saw what they were told to see. When you read Art of War, you're looking at strategy. You look at no. You can read the first chapter of Art of War, and it says the first thing. It talks about the five laws. The first law is what? The law of morality. So if I can answer that question simply, we're stuck on the law of morality. We haven't moved past it. The law of morality says it says that the law of morality is meant to keep the people. You know, who is the people, Solomon? It's not the rich people. It's not the politicians. The people are the masses of people that will be voting and doing the do-gooding or the bad of the community. It literally says they will give their lives, they'll forget about their own lives if you move like this. We don't realize we've been given morality. We never discovered it. We never even broached it when we had our own in Africa. But we were given morality of another group of people in order to keep us subsidized. You're exactly right. The cake. We stuck on that cake and we can't move. It's the mentality. For years, I thought one of the things that held me back, and I'm glad you brought this up, it's written in my book, From Poverty to Purpose. You hear me talk about how religion kept making me broke. Why? Because internally, I didn't realize psychologically, I understood money was bad. So when I started making it, this is what black people do. I got to get rid of it. I got to get rid of this. That's literally what we do. When we get money, we get rid of it. So I believe the main perpetrator. Well, let me rephrase that. The constituted perpetrator, which is in our DNA. Remember, we were beaten for all this stuff. So you knew it was important if you tried to read the Bible. Slaves were beating them. Some of them were killed for trying to learn how to read the Bible. That's how important it was put in us.
Hmm.
But think about it. Remember, I said the law of morality. We still die today at the hands of police officers and other people. And the first thing we say is, "We forgive you." Are you serious? Let me break this down. None of you have ever seen a Caucasian man say, "I forgive you," after somebody killed his child. Have you saw this? I've never
I
seen
have
one
not.
Caucasian man say,
Hmm.
"I forgive you," and all of them are Christian. And again, this is not to speak against white folks. This is just a lens that I look through. I've never seen an Indian woman go up there, "I forgive you for murdering my child," or any other except us. So either we're the only people that actually see the Bible, or we crazy. We live. This is what I believe, Simon. I believe we live in a silent psychosis.
Oh, yeah.
We literally worship Caucasian people, and we don't even see it. They don't even see it. All they do is accept it. So we have to get away from that. We have to forget learning our own culture. We have to actually do it. We have to actually love our own culture. We have to actually work economically with our culture. All right, let's move to the next question. I think that's got me in a love trouble.
No, it is good information. It's good information.
It's
It's really
really
good
good.
information because, if we look at our community, there's certain things that are very sensitive to talk about. Like you've mentioned,
Yeah.
money, religion. Those things
Sorry
are
about this, guys.
it's very touchy. Those topics
Say
are
that
very
again.
touchy in our community. I was saying those topics are very touchy in our community, but they're very
Yeah.
important that we talk about those things because
Yes, I agree.
how long are we going to ignore them? How long
I'm
are we
not going
going
to
to
be
ignore?
another day. I'm not going to ignore us another day. You know me.
Yep.
I love
Like,
black people. I
yeah.
love black people.
Like,
So
it's
what
it.
I'm going to read number 4. What are how
Yep.
detrimental is the black marriage relationship to the black community? Now I'm gonna be honest. I think you'd be an expert in answering that question.
See, I, I could talk about this for a long time, but
Okay.
with us being black people, we forget or we take this from the Bible. Now, this is not to bash anybody's religion. This is just to shine light on the fact that we look at marriage that is taken from the Bible and we take that and run with it. We fail to understand that literally everything that we're involved in present day, in reality, comes off as a business, comes
Yes.
off as people working together, comes off as unity. You can tell how divided we are when you look at the black family. You look at a couple, a black couple.
Mhm.
The man is he's going a different direction. The woman is going a different direction, with hopes
Yes.
that they're both gonna come back and regroup at home and go, okay, cool. I can make, for example, $10,000 a month. The wife can make this. Okay, cool. This is your place. You do this. You do that. We're focused on the wrong things.
Yeah.
You know, we're focused on the
We're
wrong things
together,
when
but
it
we
comes to
separate. We together, but
correct,
we separate.
but we separate.
Yeah, we
You
look
know,
because here's the thing about it. The bigger part of it is the mindset, right? I mean, if you thinking over here and I'm thinking right here, we not together. If you listening to
correct.
somebody over there, listen to this. I'm gonna say this, and this a whole nother subject. If a woman is listening to any other man that's not her husband, she's his wife. T.D. Jakes did not realize this, and maybe he did. But T.D. Jakes had 10,000 wives he didn't want because they were relying more on him and what he was saying than their own husband. Now I don't. You can't make that make sense in any world. Okay, if your boss, if his authorization is more important to you than your husband, then guess what? He your husband, and
Correct.
vice versa, like you ladies say. If the man is listening to another woman more than he listening to you, his mama, his aunts, whoever. Because here, think about it. You guys are in the trenches together. A lot of men don't understand it. You guys are in the trenches together. I'm gonna tell y'all something. I've had people in my, and this is on the subject, right? Because what we're talking about is deconstructing the aspects or the trauma in our community that hold us back from making money. And whether you guys believe it or not, this stuff holds us back from making money. Because if you're not tied like God wants us to be, then guess what? That's stress on you and the woman. That's exhausting. You don't have any peace. And Solomon knows this. Solomon, what is the magnet to peace? Money. When you at
Money.
peace, that's
Yep.
when money comes. Everybody know that. So you can't have peace if you're in a bad marriage. You can't. And you can't have money. All it's going to do is flow through your hands. Go ahead, Solomon. I didn't mean to cut you off. You were doing good.
Yep. So it's so much we can look at when you simply just come to marriage. First thing we have to understand how marriage is put together in the first place. If we're gonna run around and say marriage is an institution, we need to treat it as an institution. You know, we need to
Mm,
treat it as our institution to work together, because there is no institution without governance. You
that's
know,
right.
we need to
That's
set the
right.
government between the parties in a relationship. You know,
You sound like
so
Miles
those little
Monroe.
aspects. Now, this is not relationship advice. This is just my 2 cents. Um, I've touched on this a couple times where we look at this aspect of marriage and we go, oh, there are three people in the marriage. It's the husband, the wife, and God. But it took me a long time to understand this. It took me a long time to put this together in my own point of view, which is I've come to the conclusion that there are three main elements in a marriage: the
Okay.
husband, the wife, and the institution. Because whether we believe it or not, God is in us. God can be in us and
Exactly.
outside of us at the same time.
God is now
You
outside
know,
of us. Right? Yeah.
right? So I bring my God that's in me. You bring your God that's in you. We come together, and there is the institution. The
That's right.
institution is bigger than us, so we have to
That's
set the
exactly right.
governance
Say that one more
correct. We
time.
have to.
Say that one more time. Say that one
Yep.
more
The
time.
institution. The institution is bigger than us,
That's right.
and that's the goal is to keep the institution running. But
Well,
what we
look,
do is
not to interrupt you, but I need to make this point
correct.
because we got to work on your doing these lives. We got to work on, or excuse me, doing these lives. We got to work on your. You kind of go off here once in a while, but listen to this. A woman understands institution. Why? Because they go to work every day. They do what they told to do. They follow. And look, this is no knock against women, so don't think I'm doing that. What I'm saying is this: man or woman, you got to have responsibility to the institution first. And as you said before, if we both already have a personal relationship with God, we don't have to worry about if God involved in it or not. He is. Because I'm gonna tell you something. We can serve God together through process, but serving God and having a relationship with God is only individual. Every individual has their own relationship with God. And I
Correct.
don't know how we can wrap our heads around it. But right, like you said, God created an institution, but we have to respect that institution as it is. So when you do that, that's how this looks. Um, and I've said this for years. When I leave the house, I'm married too. I'm not just married when I'm at the
Correct.
house with you, man and woman, right? You can't be single outside of the marriage. You gotta be single wherever you're at. I mean, married or single where you're at. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So
Yep.
I think that is an absolute great conclusion and understanding on that question. I'm glad you had that question and I didn't because I didn't know how I was going to answer. So that was good. You did better. I thought I was going to throw you under the bus, but I didn't. Okay.
Yep.
I believe we already talked about this. This is about and the answer I would have given on this is that religion places black people in a psychosis, uh, in a monolithic psychosis. That's a good word. You guys hear me talk about a monolithic economy, but we're in a monolithic religious psychosis.
Correct.
I'm not going to explain to y'all what that is. Go look it up. But what it does is you're trying to figure out what separates us. What separates us is the opinions of other people. The opinions of other people. Do you know how angry it used to make me? One of the things that used to anger me the most when I was a kid is when I would hear, we all know what an uppity Negro is. I would hear uppity Negroes say things like, what are they going to think of us? And I was always the kid like, man, I don't, they already don't like us. Your goal is to make them like us? I mean, that's not going to happen. Um, you know, I don't live like that. This is how I live. I live in a world where I make a plan. And I hope by now, Solomon, you've been around me for a while now. I hope by now you realize that's who I am. I make a plan and I put a schedule to the plan. Okay? For years, we've had a savior, we've had a religion, we've had a dream, we've had an idea, we've had what I call yard sales, where a bunch of smart Negroes get together and just see who the smartest. Andrew Dyson and what's the other? Cornell West and Jesse Jackson and Farrakhan. I just did, all that hollering and screaming, and Negroes still in the same place, broke. Okay? Same place. They move. Ti get up there, with his. We're gonna do a symposium, and they get Candace Owens and all of them. They're still in the same place. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna wait till the church tell us it's okay to not believe the things that aren't true? No, we're not. The community REIT isn't. We've devised, I don't know if that's a good word, Solomon, tell me later, you got the PhD. We've devised a plan called the community REIT that will coalesce us. What does coalescence mean? Coalescence is the ability to come together to seek one understanding, one monolithic understanding. But as Solomon said, it's an institution called a REIT, a community REIT. Who is the community? The black community. Who can invest? Anybody. But the initial investors have to be black.
Correct.
The initial investors have to be black. In other words, the seed funding and the initial stockholders must be black. Why? Because our goal is to build 40,000 or create 40,000 black multi-millionaires. And by our estimate, in 7 years, 5 to 7 years, you can go from $500 to being worth $14.8 million. I think that's a pretty good deal. Now, some of you say how? Well, we're not going to talk about that with y'all tonight. You're going to have to learn that over the time you commune with us. We're going to have people come on and talk about economics, engineering, construction, all these things. Not all black people. Hey, you don't have to be black to help black people with something. But only black people are going to benefit initially from the community REIT. We're going to teach you guys something. The two people you guys are listening to right now, and another 39,000 something people you're going to see us carry this out to fruition. We're going to build hotels and resorts all over the world and all over the United States. Then we're going to start banks. Then we're going to start an exercise franchise all over the United States. 24-hour fitness. We're going to start a black 24-hour fitness. Okay? Listen, this can work, but it can only work with healthy minds. And it's our goal to help make the minds healthy so that you'll have the opportunity and a clear understanding to move forward. So what we have to do is deconstruct a lot of financial, psychological, and religious trauma. That's all I have to say, Solomon. If you have anything else to add, go ahead and we'll close it out.
Yep, and also just to add to that, Mr. Reed, I think it's very important that we stop being scared as a people.
I agree.
It's very important we stop being scared, because the only time that majority of black people think something is real is when they go to work and put in 16 hours and they come home and they're tired, and then we complain about it.
That's right.
I have not met a black person that likes the idea of going to work and working all these long hours. But the thing is, why are we scared to do something about it? What's holding us back? We complain to everybody, but we don't take the steps necessary to do something for ourselves, our community.
Can't blame the white man no more.
Yeah, all of that stuff is all of that stuff is out of the window. Now it's time we look at ourselves in the mirror and become honest and go, what is it that I'm doing? What is the legacy that I am building for my children? What is it that I'm doing for my community? The reason you mentioned a couple names a couple minutes ago, I'm not going to get too specific, but the only reason why we like the MLK speech is because all of it is a dream.
Exactly.
He started it off saying, I have a dream. So we have this mindset. Yeah, we have this mindset of following things. Yeah, we're not doing anything. Right. All we do is we talk, we go out, we march, and we do all these other things, which are also great, but it also has to be packaged with our actions on how we plan to come out of these situations. We don't have any plans. You talk to the regular black person, they have no idea what's going to happen in the next 5 years.
That's right. They don't.
If it's not there. You talk to the regular black person with no financial ideas whatsoever. Mm-hmm. If you were to go to a high school right now and have a conversation with the black high schoolers, they don't know what it is they're going into once they go to college.
No, they don't.
They just hope. Right. Yeah, they just hope that once they get to college, they'll figure it out. So we have all these things piling up and piling up and piling up, and it takes forever to break through out of that.
Yes.
It's so much to the fact that I want to say if we were to go to a cemetery right now, there is so much untapped potential with black people just laying there that we never got
Yeah,
the chance to access.
I agree.
You know, we keep pushing onto things. So I personally think the community read is a great idea, and it's something that it's not. We're not looking for people to come invest. We're looking for people to come be a part.
That's
You
right.
know, we're not just looking for you to come hand your money and walk away and expect
No,
that in five. No, we're looking for you to come be a part of the community.
that's
You
exactly
know,
right.
so we can all grow together and put something together. You
That's
know,
right.
that's all I have to add, Mr. Reed. I thank you again for having me on. It's always a
You
pleasure
say
to
you
have
gonna
these
say a lot.
conversations
You
with you.
said a lot. A lot of good stuff,
I
man.
get,
You
yeah.
turning this miles per road, man.
I get passionate
Understood, man.
when it comes to the things we're talking about. You know, so
Well, that's good, man.
again,
But we're gonna close
you
it
know,
out,
this.
guys. It's another amazing session. We appreciate you joining us. Join us next week. This will be post. We'll be posting every Wednesday. Um, hey, thanks a lot, guys. Join us for the community read. Thank you.